In this video, I'm going to take you through my 10 pre-scene details you do not want to miss ahead of your ACCA SBL examination for the December 2025 sitting. That is for the company Levwell Plc. My name is James, and if you'd like access to my exclusive SBL notes to help you pass your examination, just like thousands of students around the world, click the link in the description of this video and you can download a copy there. I'm also delighted to say I'm affiliated and associated with Essland. They offer mock examination packs, pre-scene material analysis, and it's all based on the case study for December 2025. So again, check those out in the links down below. And for pure transparency, as always on the channel, if you were to purchase anything, I'd be entitled to a small percentage which goes to supporting the YouTube channel. But as always, a massive, huge thank you for all your support. Leave me any comments if you have any questions about the pre-scene materials. I will get back to you, but let's get stuck into area number 1 on page number 2. Again, if you've downloaded these notes, it will save you so much time going through them. But the first thing is about the leisure guests. And the key bit here is they are more price sensitive than the business guests. So here we go. I'll put my mouse on it on the right hand side. Leisure guests tend to be more price sensitive than business guests, and they typically stay longer. That is where we've got other details in the pre-scene notes that it's really competitive in the marketplace, and if they don't get the pricing right, that could definitely impact on the demand. So definitely something to differentiate between the two, leisure and business guests. And the key bit is that Levwell only deals in leisure guests as well. So that is pre-scene detail number 1. Now, pre-scene detail number 2 is all about Visit Essland. So you can see it, I'll put it on the screen there, bottom right, Visit Essland, and this is where it's all about the ratings being awarded by their inspectors and that it's a national tourist board. They would definitely put that in the SBL markers because they want you to apply it on the exam date, but you've got to know what it actually is and what they actually do. So it links into that star rating, and we have on here that Levwell is a 4-star hotel, but then we are seeing on page 7, and if you go down in my notes, you can see all my extra points on there as well. That is where we're given more details about Visit Essland, all about the tourism industry as a whole. That's what it actually represents, not specifically the hotel industry. And also linking it into the marketing of Essland internationally, definitely something that I'd be thinking about in terms of accountability, standards that Levwell have to abide by. And this is where the last final bit is, it provides a reliable indicator to guests of the facilities and services they can expect from the hotel. So in other words, if something goes wrong on the exam day, that actual industry body that they've got on there for Visit Essland is definitely going to be prominent, and you need to be aware of it. So that is pre-scene detail number 2. Next, we're coming up to page 4 now, and this is where we've got the 5 largest hotel chains that are accounting for 23.1% of the total supply of hotel rooms in 2004. So I've put my mouse on it so you can see where they are. This is the only place where these hotel names of Beston, Travelwise, Vacons, Yelton and Haliant have actually been mentioned, so definitely get that down. And the other thing to make sure that you're aware about Levwell and the comparison, I've put on my notes there where the 23.1 is actually calculated, just at the bottom of the box. And the key thing for your notes is that we're told later on that Levwell actually only has 35 hotels, and you can see on here we've got 504, 288, and also when we're looking into the number of rooms that these hotels have, Beston on there has 150, 140 on there, 145. Well, when we're looking at the actual hotel that we have as well in the case study, they've only got 80 on there for Levwell, so definitely get that down, and so that you have it in your mind in terms of the actual structure and size of the case study company of Levwell Plc. So that is number 3, about the 5 largest hotels and getting some perspective as to the Essland market. Now, pre-scene detail number 4 now, again on page 4, is actually about the operating profit margin. I know, sounds, well, why is that important, James? Very, very important. I've put my mouse on it on there. So the operating profit margin for hotels in Essland is typically around 10%. Why on earth have you got that in there, James, as such a key detail. So just remember 10%, and this is where your interpretation comes of the pre-seen materials, and it's going to showcase a student who's really on top of it versus someone who's not. Look on page 13, you can see it on the left, I put my mouse on there. Levwell's operating profit margins in the last 5 years have been 13.2, 13.9, 14.1, so even slightly going up, and their revenues are increasing. So you kind of go to yourself, well, someone might interpret it as, well, revenue's going up, surely operating profit might go up. But in comparison to the market of hotels in Essland, they're actually doing really well for Levwell, and it's slightly increasing and could get better. So that's why I've linked it into a SWOT analysis, strength and opportunity area, but definitely don't overlook that. Small little one sentence, but you've got plenty of things that you could link it into, especially from a profitability point of view. So that is area number 4 with the operating profit margin. I'm coming back up to page number 4 now, and this is where we're talking about the bars and restaurants. And you kind of go to yourself, why is that actually a key thing that you've got down? Well, you can see on my notes, key phrase to note down. So the restaurants and bars in many hotels are open to non-residents, meaning people who are not staying at the hotel can still buy food and drink in its restaurant and bar. Well, that is really key, that the likes of Vacont and Yelton and Halliot's, we're not told that these are the specific ones there, but as you can see, it says many of the hotels actually offer it out to the public. But then if you come down to where we're looking now on page 9, and this is just a highlight as to the food and drink and the other resources bring in a lot of revenue that you probably weren't actually expecting in terms of the sources of income. And then when we get into the details of why that's even more important, on the left hand side where you can see my mouse is, only guests staying in a Levwell hotel can eat in its restaurants or use its bar. So again, look at that, 33% of the income comes from food and drink, and they're not actually letting in the public. That is just purely from guests. So again, a key point or an opportunity for looking at increasing the amount of income from food and drink and even the other private events. That's why I've linked it into a SWOT analysis, and it has to go on my list of a detail not to miss. So that is number 5 about the bars and restaurants on there. Now, we're coming on to area number 6 now, and we're going to go to page 5, and it links into the industry challenges. And what I'm thinking of here, in terms of this point, is the environmental or the sort of ESG factors on there. So you've got the sustainability, governance for it. And what I'm getting at is, we're told about sustainability being in the actual industry challenges, and it links into environmental concerns, negative impact on demand, impacts and reduces the hotel's accommodation, occupancy, how many people are willing to stay there. The customers are more aware, or guests are more aware of the carbon emissions and the energy, water consumption. Plenty of stuff on there. Now, that's the only part about environmental and sustainability in the pre-seed notes, and it's such a topical area. And then I was thinking about, well, where are the other factors that I would sort of think it would, well, where have I seen it in previous pre-seed materials that it isn't here? Well, the KPIs on the left-hand side was nothing to do with the environment or sustainability on there. So again, something definitely to note down in terms of environmental, social and governance factors. And also when we look at the board structure, there's no clear indication as to environmental impact, sustainability, which director is actually accountable for that. So I think it could be one of those things they might throw in on the exam day and has to be on my list at number 6. Speaking of 6, we're going to come back to page 6 again now, where we're talking about, for my pre-seen detail number 7 now, about the most important underlying factor. Now I'm going to put my mouse on it on here on the right hand side. The most important underlying factor which contributes to a hotel success is the guest experience. That phrase there, I think you can deploy in so many different areas. And the other bit is the paragraph just underneath where I've put note all of these down. You've got supporting factors on there that contribute to the guest experience. So the quality, comfort, cleanliness, quality of service, security, staff, surroundings. In a nutshell, it's all about how the guests actually feel when they're actually at the hotel itself with those supporting factors. there's going to be something that goes wrong on your exam day with the scenario. And I think it could also link into some of the other areas that we have on here about employee turnover. That's really high at 39%. And that's why I've got it down as a SWOT analysis weakness point. So again, had to be put down that the experience is such a key thing and we have to be aware of it. Now, area number 8, in terms of pre-scene details, you've got to go up to page 7 now and looking at the KPIs. I'm going to put my mouse on it because, again, it's just one sentence. But we're looking here at the occupancy rate. An annual average occupancy rate above 70% is considered to be good for hotels in Essland. And again, you're thinking to yourself, why is that one little thing important? Well, for a student who reads through the pre-scene materials quite in a rush, they're probably going to be like, well, look at the occupancy rate, 77%, that's nowhere near 100%, 23% wiggle room. They've got room, they should have more people in there. But when you look at that from a KPI perspective, you go, well, other hotels in the industry are only getting 70%. What we're getting here for Levwell is 77 on that, even up at 78. So they're doing really, really well, and they've got an opportunity to grow it even more, linking into that pricing strategy as well. So being over 70% is really good, and that's why, yes, it's a bad thing that they have empty rooms and there's a loss of income, but compared to the competitors, they're actually doing rather well on that. So definitely something to get down. Don't overlook it and don't misinterpret it as well. That's why it's a pre-scene detail not to miss. We couldn't really talk about the pre-scene without talking about Levwell and the overview on there. That's why for my number 9 about Levwell, I think lots of students are going to get mixed up about it being listed on there. So it's publicly listed, institutional investors that they can buy and sell the actual shares on there, little things like that. And the final little detail, which links into those sort of profitability, occupancy arguments we've touched on before, is that we're told, actually, as you can see on here, I'll put my mouse on it, that despite Levwell's overall aim to continue growing, it actually closed 2 hotels down 7 years ago because they were performing poorly and they were no longer considered profitable. So again, most people would think, oh gosh, that's a weakness, they're closing down hotels. But from the points we've looked at, increasing the operating profit margin, being high in occupancy, they're really focusing in. You get the impression that they're quite happy with 35 hotels, 80 guest rooms, doing really well, and increasing the profitability and getting a little bit better. And all of their rooms are really bespoke. It's not a Premier Inn or anything like that, where they're all exactly the same. Then they're not standardized. The designs are of high quality, bespoke experience. That's what customers want, and that's what I had to put in earlier about the customer experience being so key, because something could happen on the exam day that could impact on that. So definitely thinking about Levwell from an overview perspective. And the last note to get down is linking to that board structure. We've got the correct setup and the weighting that they've got at least 50% of the non-executive directors for a listed company. However, we're not told any names of the CEO, the CFO on there, or any of the rest of them. The SBL examiner loves to throw in names, and I think someone will be thrown up on the exam day that links into a role, and therefore you've got to get it down and have it just in the back of your mind so that you know what to do. Now, last but by no means least, pre-scene detail number 10 now is all about page 12. So there are lots of details on here linking to stakeholders, but the key word on here that I think you could really emphasize in an answer is all to do with Levwell's mission statement. So the key bit here is to provide, as you can see where my mouse is, an exceptional experience for every guest every time they visit. And you kind of go to yourself, well, as you can see in my notes, is that actually possible? Is that reasonable? There's always going to be someone or something that doesn't go right in a hotel. I mean, I stayed in a hotel recently where they actually didn't make up my room when I was out for the day, and I even put the sign up on there. I had to go down to reception for it. So on your exam day, it's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows. Something is going to go wrong, and well, I can tell you now, that's going to impact on a guest at one of their visits. So you could actually link it back to and quote that mission statement and say it actually breaks the mission, and also links into some of the values as well down there that especially the staff are going to be really, really prominent on. And when they talk about in the values of the actual guests and the staff, so we take care of our staff, there is one staff member mentioned literally just once on there, and it's the IT manager on page 11. So this is where you go to yourself, well, we're given lots of points about the information system, and I'll put my mouse on it. It's on page 11 where it is there. And just be careful. They may throw in the name of the IT manager, or I think some students might get mixed up with like an IT director or something on those lines. And being really specific in your answers is definitely going to get you those marks. And just little things and the details I've touched in this video could be the difference in getting you the 50 plus and getting you over the line for passing your SBL examination. Well, I hope that helped everyone. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and if you would like a copy of my exclusive notes I've gone through here, it doesn't matter if you've got the exam tomorrow, they're definitely going to help you out and save you so much time. Thank you for all the support as well to the channel, but make sure you pick up a mock examination that is specific for Levwell Plc. I've linked them down below from Astranti. Would highly recommend you check those out. They will definitely, again, give you that experience that they are going to test you on areas that they think are going to come up on the exam day, and applying some of the theories like SWOT analysis, pestle on there, porters. So be sure to check them out, or link below. So thank you very much. Leave me any questions you have about the pre-C notes, how you're getting on, and I'll see you on the other side now for another SBL video. So thank you very much.